All right. Welcome to the Tuesday night Unity of Livonia, A Course in Miracles study group. Things are looking up. Hilda's here. So
Oh,
let
good.
me pause and get her into the meeting. And I did mention Joan said she'd be late, so we're still waiting on her. Uh, Let's see how these technical issues are going here for people. Hilda, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, we can't see you. Did you know that?
Oh, I'm just a ghost.
Oh,
There you
that's
are.
better. All right. That looks a lot better than the other black and green screen we were seeing. Anyhow, you're just in time, and we were just getting started here tonight. Um, First of all, just a reminder again, Hilda, you weren't here, but we won't be meeting next week
Yeah, I
because I'll
understand.
still be out of town for the class reunion. Yeah, you remember.
Party time.
So yeah, so I just wanted to make sure I did the reminder of that. Uh,
So I take it Sunday you won't be attending church.
Right.
that's correct. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Thanks. And
So I miss you.
well, yeah, I have the part-time job also, and sometimes I miss
I
this.
know. I know. I
Yeah,
know.
so you
I
get a
manage.
run on these things when you're doing it like the rest of your life. Stuff happens, right?
That's true.
Anyhow, uh, let's just delve right in here. Last time we did chapter 8 in the text, and workbook lessons. Oh, gee, what did we do? Was it from 51 to what?
Something like that.
Yeah. Anyhow, as usual, I just wanted to know if you had any questions or comments about that. And do you?
I found the last chapter, healing and correct perception. I needed to do some work on that.
So, what do you mean, Frank?
I remember going back to something you reminded me to view. If I defend myself, I'm attacked in lesson 135.
Yes.
Also, a healed mind does not plan. Well,
Yes.
I during this winter, I've had colds, allergies, and so on, and I'm finally getting better. But I thought, and the stomach problems. But I'm wondering about my healing or lack of healing. And I called you once, and you told me about that one part of the workbook. Today. I spent a lot of time going over that, and I didn't realize how defensive I guess I am, or have been.
Okay. And something in chapter 8 made
Uh,
you think about that. Was it
Chapter 135, but I was reviewing what it was in our previous chapter 8
yeah,
about
healing
healing.
as corrected perception, right? Yeah.
And I just realized I needed to process it more because I wonder if that's why I've been having some of the illnesses over the past spring.
I see. I see. Just a lot of reflection and looking for answers simply by being open to the ideas that come to you. And so sometimes the reading material it becomes just a catalyst for reflection like that. Don't you agree, Frank?
Yes.
Or y'all follow what I mean? Maybe I'm wandering here. So yeah, thank you for that comment. Anything else? Anybody want to talk about chapter 8 or our review lessons to date? We're still in our first review period. You know what? There's something I want to ask you guys about for me that struck me once. It's always been kind of one of my favorite passages, but it was in chapter 8, specifically on page 141. Do me a favor, let's take a look at that passage and talk about it for a minute, because I think it's important in terms of a justification for insanity. If you're with me on 141, let me just read paragraph 7 and maybe 8. Jesus said, "When I said all power and glory are yours, because the kingdom is his," meaning God, I guess, right?
Okay.
"This is what I meant. The will of God is without limit, and all power and glory lie within it." He goes further describing the will of God. The will of God is boundless in strength and in love and in peace. The will of God has no boundaries because its extension is unlimited, and it encompasses all things because it created all things. By creating all things, the will of God made them part of itself. You are the will of God, because that is how you were created. Because your creator creates only like himself, you are like him. You are part of him who is all power and glory, and are therefore as unlimited as he is. To what except all power and glory can the Holy Spirit appeal? To restore God's kingdom. Who would not want that? Who would not want that? Who would not see value in that, and to be a part of it? Now, only if it's true, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't know if it's true, right? But it's a strong claim. Do you see why it's not asking you to sacrifice anything? It's only, I mean, wouldn't you throw this away for that? All power and all glory?
Yeah.
and that just struck me. I had kind of bookmarked it a long time ago, but it hit me again just looking at the pages of chapter 8. And here's the thing, we don't know if this is true, if you're being honest, but the other thing that leverages me right now is look at the alternative. How long have we been trying separation and being individuals and so-called freedom for doing whatever we want to do? How long has that been going on? At the rate that we've been trying, how much longer would we have to try before? When do you think we'll see results from this system?
Doesn't it have to be the individual's experience of it at whatever time?
Well,
Or are you
the
thinking in
whole
terms
thing.
of,
Go ahead, dear.
are you thinking in terms of a mass change where this would take place for everyone? Or because if not,
That's the only way it can happen if we're all one.
oh, I see. Okay. Okay.
Yes. I mean, what at using our current system, when do you think we'll be significantly happier? When do you think prices will go down? When do you think people will get health care? When do you think housing won't be a problem? We've got senators and representatives making proposals and counter proposals and new programs that bump against other programs. And how long? How long? How much longer?
Maybe
So
never.
We don't
the
know.
other impetus for making a different choice is the tragedy of our current ones. When do you think this will work for everyone? Doing what we're doing, and they say to keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting the different results
So,
is what?
No,
Insane. Same results.
Okay. And the insanity increases when you look at what the alternative is. All power and all glory. So what else can hey, that's all I got. All power and all glory. So I don't want to belabor that, but just in way of review, that I thought I'd spend a little time with that passage with you. I want you to see how ludicrous the tiny mad idea is on so many levels. Any comments? Speechless good or speechless bad?
speechless, thoughtful.
Okay. Anybody?
All I can say is I don't know.
Yeah. So you see, I will not belabor that further. Just something that caught my eye to share with you. Tonight, or rather this week, we started our first review period in A Course in Miracles. And I'd like to do the introduction to this review, and doing the lessons and the reading for that are relatively short, but I want to, in particular, to, since this is the first of 6 reviews, to look at how Jesus introduces these reviews. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to start there and get our reading list together. It's on page 80 in the workbook for students. And Sherilyn, you're reading. Frank, are you reading?
No.
Okay. And Ron is reading. And Hilda, are you reading?
No, I'm sorry.
All right. So Sherilyn 1, no problem. Sherilyn 1, Ron 2, I'll be reader 3. And we can get started on page 80, right?
Yeah.
On manual for teachers?
No. It'll say workbook for students.
Oh, workbook
Mhm.
for students. Okay, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, more in the middle of your book.
Yeah. Take me a minute to turn all these pages. Okay. Review 1, Introduction. Beginning with today, we will have a series of review periods. Each of them will cover 5 of the ideas already presented, starting with the first and ending with the 50th. There will be a few short comments after each of the ideas, which you should consider in your review. In the practice periods, the exercises should be done as follows.
Would you
Begin the day.
Yes.
Begin the day by reading the 5 ideas with the comments included. Thereafter, it is not necessary to follow any particular order in considering them, though each one should be practiced at least once. Devote 2 minutes or more to each practice period, thinking about the idea and the related comments after reading them over. Do this as often as possible during the day. If any one of the 5 ideas appeals to you more than the others, concentrate on that one. At the end of the day, however, be sure to review all of them once more.
Thanks, Sherilyn.
Mm-hmm.
Ron, how about the 3 and 4, okay?
Sure. It is not easy to cover the comments that follow each idea, either literally or thoroughly, in the practice periods. Try rather to emphasize the central point and think about it as part of your review of the idea to which it relates. After you have read the idea and the related comments, the exercises should be done with your eyes closed and when you are alone in a quiet place, if possible. This is emphasized for practice periods at your stage of learning. It will be necessary, however, that you learn to require no special settings in which to apply what you have learned. You will need your learning most in situations that appear to be upsetting rather than in those that already seem to be calm and quiet. The purpose of your learning is to enable you to bring the quiet with you and to heal distress and turmoil. This is not done by avoiding them and seeking a haven of isolation for yourself.
You will let Excuse me. You
Excuse
will
me, Jim.
yet
Are you
learn.
on page 80?
Uh-huh.
What?
Paragraph 5. Do you see it?
Okay, now I see it. Okay, thank you.
Yes. You will yet learn that peace is part of you and requires only that you be there to embrace any situation in which you are. And finally, you will learn that there is no limit to where you are, so that your peace is everywhere as you are. You will note that for review purposes, some of the ideas are not given in quite their original form. Use them as they are given here. It is not necessary to return to the original statements nor to apply the ideas as was suggested then. We are now emphasizing the relationships among the first 50 of the ideas we have covered and the cohesiveness of the thought system to which they are leading you. And so that's the introduction to this review. I think all of us have been through these, through the workbook and the review lessons before, at least once, some multiple times. But did you find these introductions helpful when you went through them before? Um, or did you just kind of read it so you could hurry up and get to what's next?
I haven't been through it before.
I haven't either.
Okay. All right. Well, just a couple of things to call your attention to, Frank, and others. Um, Look at paragraph 4 again. Now, we read that. Could somebody tell me what he said in paragraph 4? First of all, it says for this is emphasized for practice periods at your stage of learning. What?
Whatever that may be.
What does this refer to? In the previous paragraph, right?
Right.
Yeah, the instructions.
So, what's this? He says it in the previous paragraph. Sentence 3, but really after the comma. Here's my assessment. After you have read the idea and the related comments, the exercises should be done with your eyes closed and when you are alone in a quiet place, if possible. So, this thing about doing the exercises with your eyes closed and when you are alone in a quiet place is emphasized for practice periods at your stage of learning. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's how we're going to start out, okay? Alone, quiet place, eyes closed. But what else does he say as you become more experienced with this? Do you see it in paragraph 4? Sentence 2? Somebody want to read sentence
Well,
2?
you can do this anywhere.
Pardon me, Hilda?
is that you can do this anywhere because it says it will be necessary, however, that you learn to require special settings in which to apply what you have learned.
Exactly. Do you see the point we're making here? Maybe you've often heard me said you get credit when you can do this stuff in your prayer closet, but the real value of it doesn't come in your quiet place. Where you need it is on the battle line, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And do you see him saying that here? We're going to start out in your prayer closet, but don't misunderstand. All right? You need to be able to bring the peace with you. That's how you can be helpful. And I want you to see again that he's putting these ideas out early in the material, but they don't get more concrete. You know what we're saying here, right? You can't just stay in your prayer closet with this. It has limited value there. Its real power and potency is for you to share it. Remember the scriptures that says no one hides their light under a bushel basket, right? But they take
Yes.
it and set it on top of a hill so that it can share. Isn't that the same message here?
Well,
Yeah.
So do this process, let it work on you and in you, and then take that work and share it. That's the Holy Spirit first sharing with you, right, in your quiet space. And as you grow stronger in this, you'll be able to take it out and share it with others. But you can't share it with others if it's not at work in you. Let's just be honest. Don't be an unhealed healer. Have you heard that term?
yes.
Okay. That's all it means, is the same as this. And I just wanted to point out how some of these things are being mentioned, but maybe you didn't pay attention before. But you see, he's planting seeds along the way. Any comments on the review introduction? All right, then we're ready for tonight's lesson. We're up to review lesson number 57. And Sherilyn, why don't you,
Okay.
I say read all of it.
What page are you on?
We're on page 94 now. That's our lesson for today, 57.
Okay, lesson 57.
Yep.
Today, let us review these ideas. 1. I am not the victim of the world I see. How can I be the victim of a world that can be completely undone if I so choose? My chains are loosened. I can drop them off merely by desiring to do so. The prison door is open. I can leave simply by walking out. Nothing holds me in this world. Only my wish to stay keeps me a prisoner. I would give up my insane wishes and walk into the sunlight at last. 2. I have invented the world I see. I made up the prison in which I see myself. All I need to do is recognize this, and I am free. I have deluded myself into believing it is possible to imprison the Son of God. I was bitterly mistaken in this belief, which I no longer want. The Son of God must be forever free. He is as God created him, and not what I would make of him. He is where God would have him be, and not where I thought to hold him prisoner. 3. There is another way of looking at the world. Since the purpose of the world is not the one I ascribe to it, there must be another way of looking at it. I see everything upside down, and my thoughts are the opposite of truth. I see the world as a prison for God's Son. It must be, then, that the world is really a place where he can be set free. I would look upon the world as it is and see it as a place where the Son of God finds his freedom. 4. I could see peace instead of this. When I see the world as a place of freedom, I realize that it reflects the laws of God instead of the rules I made up for it. Be okay. I will understand that peace, not war, abides in it, and I will perceive that peace also abides in the hearts of all who share this place with me. Number 5, my mind is part of God's. I am very holy. As I share the peace of the world with my brothers, I begin to understand that this peace comes from deep within myself. The world I look upon has taken on the light of my forgiveness and shines forgiveness back at me. In this light, I begin to see what my illusions about myself kept hidden. I begin to understand the holiness of all living things, including myself, and their oneness with me.
And so let's do our meditation period, if that's all right. And after that, after this time for reflection, then let's come back and see what your comments or questions are. Is that okay with everyone? All right. Let me get set up for that. And just kind of reflect on what you've read. If you need to take a look at some of the titles again first, and I'll put the music on and see what sort of experience comes to you. So what are your thoughts, my friend?
I think I've been all those at some point.
Say that again, please.
I think I have had thoughts, feelings of every one of those at some point.
Mhm.
Was trying to think of one that would cover all the ultimate, but I think I've gone through all these at varying times.
Yeah, yeah. Other comments? Thank you, Frank.
I
What?
like
Yes, dear. Go ahead,
just
Hill.
to say I like the first one. I spent some time with that. I'm not a victim of the world I see, and I think that's
Yes.
kind of a sometimes hard to figure out, but yet it's really very necessary to step away and realize that you can't let the world control what goes on in your mind.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think
And
for
then,
me, just reading a statement like that, um, it just changed. I mean, what if that's true? That I'm not the victim of the world I see, that I invented the world I see, and how that shifts my whole everything
mhm.
180 degrees from it goes across the board because I thought I was powerless, but this is saying no, you're powerful,
Powerful. Yeah.
and that you're saying everything, all kind of power. I mean, it just changes your whole outlook in one sentence if it's true. But for us, the challenge now is, well, how do I know to believe it? How do I know if it's true or not? Isn't that our natural response here?
Yes.
Well,
I
that didn't
need
occur to
some
me. I
evidence.
followed it.
Say that again.
That didn't occur to me. I followed it right through. I said, it makes sense that first you think you're a victim, and then you move to realizing that it's different and that it was my doing. That
Well,
if it's different, it's my doing. I'm capable of doing that.
okay.
And then in the third one, you're being reminded that there is another way of looking at things.
Okay. Um, and so that train of thought leads me to one of the things I remember it saying in the review is that at the very end it said, um, we are now emphasizing the relationships among the first 50 of the ideas we have covered and the cohesiveness of the thought system. So, what I was thinking about here in lesson 57, these are all kind of talking about correction, like it's correcting our misperceptions.
Yeah, yeah,
It's recognizing them and then
yes,
going from there.
and then
Okay.
telling us that we can correct them.
Right.
Yes, and all except all except that last one. That's doesn't seem a correction per se. You see
It's
that,
a
that lesson?
recognition. Yeah, it's recognition. It's not that.
Yeah. I
Okay.
think the whole thing is a process. I mean, you have
Yeah,
to sort of go step by step, kind of, and saying, well, if that's true, then that's blah, 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 and you just keep on
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
And first, I'm telling you, you need to correct these misperceptions.
Mhm.
And if you want peace, correct these misperceptions. And if you've agreed so far, let's get started.
Mhm.
Number one, my mind is part of God's. I am very holy. Do you see him now starting to implement what you've been willing to start receiving? Do you see why I'm saying lesson 35 is kind of a turning point in the phases of instruction in the workbook? So that's something that I got out of it. And we'll still be, what have we got, about 3 more review lessons, and we'll be done with review number 1. Try to not skip over the reviews and the introduction, because if you follow those instructions and techniques that Jesus is putting there, I think you'll get a lot more out of the review period if you kind of follow and try and do it the way he says. Any comments or questions here? All right. Then we're ready for chapter 9 in the text, right? That's our next assignment. And it is another of my favorites, but you'll see. I think you'll enjoy. The first section is called The Acceptance of Reality, and it's a fairly long section. We're supposed to do 2 sections today, and here tonight we'll just give it our best shot and see how we do. Is that okay?
Okay.
I'm gonna see if we can pick up where Ron, were you our last no, I was the last reader, right? No, Sherilyn.
No, I was, I think.
I'm losing it here. Okay. So
My turn.
Ron, would you start? We're on page 160 in the text, sir.
Yes. Sure. The acceptance of the atonement. Roman numeral 1, the acceptance of reality. Fear of the will of God is one of the strangest beliefs the human mind has ever made. It could not possibly have occurred unless the mind were already profoundly split, making it possible for it to be afraid of what it really is. Reality cannot threaten anything except illusions, since reality can only uphold truth. The very fact that the will of God, which is what you are, is perceived as fearful demonstrates that you are afraid of what you are. It is not then the will of God of which you are afraid, but yours.
That's deep. Hey, Joan, did I say hello to you?
Oh, no, but hello. Hello,
Hi,
everybody.
welcome. Thank you for being here. We're on page 160 in the text. Are you there?
Got it.
Okay, and would you like to be our reader after, oh boy, it
After Ron.
goes,
Or
uh,
after,
yeah, you would be next, Joan, after Ron. Okay, so you're up right now. Is that good?
Oh, okay. All right.
Paragraph 2.
Paragraph 2.
Uh-huh.
Your will is not the ego's, and that is why the ego is against you. What seems to be the fear of God is really the fear of your own reality. It is impossible to learn anything consistently in a state of panic. If the purpose of this course is to help you remember what you are, and if you believe that what you are is fearful, then it must follow that you will not learn this course. Yet the reason for the course is that you do not know what you are.
Comments. Wow.
Mhm.
This is deep, right? Your comments here, paragraph 1. I thought we were supposed to be God-fearing. Have you ever heard that expression?
Oh, yes.
No. Well, we've been taught to be God-fearing. God is going to punish me if I don't do whatever.
Okay.
That's right.
So let me ask you a question that, I've learned since doing a course in miracles. How can you love what you fear?
So you can't. You can.
Not in truth. You might exhibit compliant behavior or try and fool yourself, but you can't love what you fear. They don't go together.
I felt it was going to judge me.
Where did you learn that?
In church.
Okay. Now, Course in Miracles was my first exposure to a rebuttal to statements like that. Do you see what a deceitful egoic trick it is to try and pass off that God is love, but you're supposed to fear it? Does that make sense to you? Did it make sense to you as a kid?
No.
All right, that's fear of the will of God is one of the strangest beliefs. To fear God is to fear you, because that is your creation, right? So the whole thing sets about this counterpoint, this impossible thing to do genuinely, because it's opposition to each other. They are opposed to each other. What better way to never have you find God? Pretty good, huh? That ego, right?
Right.
Anything else in paragraph 1 you want to say? How about paragraph 2 then? Does that make sense, what he says in paragraph 2, sentence 4? If the purpose of this course is to help you remember what you are, and if you believe that what you are is fearful, then it must follow that you will not learn this course. Who wants to invite fear? And yet, what is the reason you have the fear? It's because you don't know what you are. What is our universal prayer? What am I? Why am I here? Now, you got to be pretty nuts not to even know what you are, right?
Yeah.
Something must catastrophic must have happened that you don't even know what you are, let alone where you are, any of that. You don't even know what you are.
Yeah, but that's
Mess, right? Hilda?
yeah. I say, I mean, it is really a process though, because as a child, you being brought up with certain rules and regulations that are being drilled into you, and you do this, God will punish you, kind of stuff, and so as a kid, you say, oh my, you
Yeah.
misbehave, so you're going to be punished, and God is the one that's doing it, not me, because I'm just, so this is what you can grow up with, and I know not everybody does, but in general, that's what happens. And
So
so as you grow older, you find out that you start thinking for yourself and say, this is strange.
yeah.
There's got to be something wrong, and then eventually you question it and you come to the conclusion that what
Yeah.
you learned all along was a bunch of bunk.
And all of that came from asking an honest question instead of using the superficial things we're taught, like scapegoating God. Okay, this is God's will that I beat you. You deserve it. God says when you do this, you have to be punished. So it's not me. I'm just an instrument of God.
Right?
All right,
Oh, yeah.
all right. Should I stop? Should we stop?
Yeah, let's not record
Let's
that.
read some more here. We're up to Joan, right? No,
I just read.
my bad. So it's my turn here. I'm still in the rotation. We're on paragraph 3. Is that correct?
Right.
If you do not know what your reality is, why would you be so sure it's fearful? The association of truth and fear, which would be highly artificial at most, is particularly inappropriate in the minds of those who do not know what truth is. All this could mean is that you are arbitrarily associating something beyond your awareness with something you do not want. It is evident then that you are judging something of which you are totally unaware. You have set up this strange situation so that it is impossible to escape from it without a guide who does know what your reality is. The purpose of this guide is merely to remind you of what you want. He is not attempting to force an alien will upon you. He is merely making every possible effort within the limits you impose on him to reestablish your own will in your awareness. That was a long paragraph, right? Any discussion, maybe before we move on? Here, just very quickly, you'll get tired of this. Look at lesson 52. It's kind of my best description of reality, and it's in the workbook for students on page 84. I think you'll recognize that we've read this before, maybe more than once, right? Page 84 in the workbook. The first full paragraph, Jesus says, reality is never frightening. It is impossible that reality could upset me. Reality brings only perfect peace. Now, how far is that from your reality? How far? That's crazy, right? Reality is never frightening. How does that compare to your reality? And so you see why it's fitting that the title of chapter 9, well, at least this section, is the acceptance that reality is never frightening. That's the title, the acceptance of reality, and getting you used to the fact that reality is totally opposite of everything you've been taught.
Precisely.
Now, if that's true, it would change everything. We're back to the Greeks and I don't know, the philosophers and the statement, know thyself. It would change everything. The statement, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and its righteousness, and all these gifts will be added to you. If you would merely seek this, it has the solution to every problem you've ever had. It's a change of mind. It's a correction. It is the atonement. A change in mind. All right. Now, a change in mind in who? Who is you?
Actually, I think it's the ego,
Well, yeah.
because it's the ego that is afraid, the ego that is panics, and if you learn to overcome that, then you will see reality in a different light.
Oh, okay, but I want to show you the two thought systems. My question was, who is you?
That would be my real self.
And is that an individual?
No.
No.
Therein lies the whole problem. Because for you to make the correction, part of that correction is understanding that if we're all one, there can't be a separate you, can there?
No.
So from a level 2 perspective, that's what makes the atonement appear incredibly difficult. I can't do it without you, and you can't do it without me. We are inextricably locked in because we are one. It works for good but it also poses a problem, doesn't it? Because even when the light goes on in the individuals, it takes a collective to make any significant achievement. Your comments about what I'm saying? Seems to be a dilemma.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, somebody? It's a quandary, isn't it?
Definitely.
So it makes it sound like none of us can get there by ourselves. So, so it is a quandary.
Here, right. It would take a miracle, right?
Yeah. For
Yes.
everyone.
Okay. So Dad says, I thought of that.
Okay.
Right. The Holy Spirit can do this. You can't. So what I need you to do is surrender. Do it the Holy Spirit's way. That's the only way that will work. Unless you want to keep trying to vote in a different Senate every so many years, 6 years, try a different mayor, try a different president, try. How long you been doing this? Does it work? It should have worked by now, right?
Right.
Doesn't.
Maybe that's a sign. All right. I'll quit. Please, then we'll continue. Are we back to Cheryl?
I guess so.
All right.
Okay. Paragraph 4.
Yes, very good.
You have imprisoned your will beyond your own awareness, where it remains, but cannot help you. When I said that the Holy Spirit's function is to sort out the true from the false in your mind, I meant that he has the power to look into what you have hidden and recognize the will of God there. His recognition of this will can make it real to you because he is in your mind and therefore he is your reality. If, then, his perception of your mind brings its reality to you, he is helping you to remember what you are. The only source of fear in this process is what you think you will lose. Yet it is only what the Holy Spirit sees that you can possibly have.
Yeah. And Ron, paragraph 5.
I have emphasized many times that the Holy Spirit will never call upon you to sacrifice anything. But if you ask the sacrifice of reality of yourself, the Holy Spirit must remind you that this is not God's will because it is not yours. There is no difference between your will and God's. If you did not have a split mind, you would recognize that willing is salvation because it is communication.
Okay, thanks, Ron. And so now we've got a couple of paragraphs here. Is it making sense to you so far?
Yes.
Uh, what does Jesus mean in paragraph 5, sentence 3? There is no difference between your will and God's.
If I am part of God, then there would be no difference.
Do you see the integrity of this thought system? If you start from a few simple, extraordinary, but also simple principles like we are not individuals, we are not separate, we are one, we're all part of the same thing, then do you see how you can do valid answers to these, see why these passages say what they say? Uh, do you agree, Joan? I see you putting it together, right? Okay,
Mhm.
all right. It's it is different, but it has its own integrity. In fact, more integrity than the other stuff you were trying to piece together as why this happens and why that happens and all of those things. Um, Anything else do you see in 5 talking about the Holy Spirit will never call upon you to sacrifice anything? Do you remember anywhere here where it said give up anything but illusions? Uh, the point is, to me, it's not a sacrifice because look what you'll get in return. So I'm just saying, maybe it's true, maybe it's not true, but it does give compelling evidence when you look at its consistency, its honesty, and how it holds together throughout its entire thought system. It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yes, indeed.
So are we at who? Where are we? Somebody help.
I read last.
Okay, Sherilyn, right, said that?
Yes.
So up to Ron, please.
Actually, I read paragraph 5 after Carolyn.
That's right.
So I
Sherilyn,
think we're to
okay.
Joan.
Yep. So we're at Joan for paragraph 6.
Okay. It is impossible to communicate in alien tongues. You and your creator can communicate through creation because that and only that is your joint will. A divided mind cannot communicate because it speaks for different things to the same mind. This loses the ability to communicate simply because confused communication does not mean anything. A message cannot be communicated unless it makes sense. How sensible can your messages be when you ask for what you do not want? Yet, as long as you are afraid of your will, that is precisely what you are asking for.
You may insist that the Holy Spirit does not answer you, but it might be wiser to consider the kind of questioner you are. You do not ask only for what you want. This is because you are afraid you might receive it, and you would. That is why you persist in asking the teacher who could not possibly give you what you want. Of him, you can never learn what it is. And this gives you the illusion of safety. Yet you cannot be safe from truth, but only in truth. Reality is the only safety. Your will is your salvation because your will is the same as God's. The separation is nothing more than the belief that your will is different from God's. So, does paragraph 6 make sense about good communication and how it has to make sense and in the same language as far as content? What about paragraph 7 and this idea about what kind of questioner you are? Why don't you, Jesus says, you do not ask only for what you want. And assuming that's true, let me ask you, why is that? Why is it we don't ask only for what we want?
It's because we're
Probably
afraid we
because we
might
don't know.
receive.
Okay.
Mhm.
We're two different people.
Is it that we don't know? Or
So,
is it that we're afraid we might receive it?
Mhm.
And
Probably
what
some of
we
both.
go ahead.
It's probably some of both, depending on what you're
Yeah,
thinking about.
and so it's kind of ends up in a confusion, in a confused state, which makes the communication shaky.
Yeah.
Um, what is this fear we have of getting what we want?
I wonder if it's, at least at times, it's because we fear we don't deserve it
Mhm, mhm.
or something we really don't want. We've made a mistake in our
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah, you remember last night, Joan and Ron, we were talking, and Sherilyn was there. We were talking about special love relationships, and that special love is really a cover up for hate. And hate is a form of fear. And the fear comes from feeling inadequate, feeling there's a lack in you. And I would offer that we don't ask what only for only what we want, like we're talking about tonight, out of that same fear that we're out of that same fear that it's different than what we're involved with now. Okay, we don't always like the ego, but at least what is it? The hell you are used to? What's that expression? And so we would be afraid of the change. I mean, we're a pretty fickle species. Like You know how they talk about the mental health crisis that we're having these days?
Mhm.
Think about what we're exposed to and its impact on our mental health for thousands of years. It's kind of a mess, so I'll move on here again. We're back to Cheryl and White, right? We're on, is it 8?
Yes.
No, no. Did you read? You read?
I'm so, yes, I read 7, didn't I?
Yeah, somebody did.
That was me.
Okay. No right mind can believe that its will is stronger than God's. If then a mind believes that its will is different from his, it can only decide either that there is no God or that God's will is fearful. The former accounts for the atheist and the latter for the martyr, who believes that God demands sacrifices. Either of these insane decisions will induce panic because the atheist believes he is alone and the martyr believes that God is crucifying him. Yet, no one really wants either abandonment or retaliation, even though many may seek both. Can you ask the Holy Spirit for gifts such as these and actually expect to receive them? He cannot give you something you do not want. When you ask the universal giver for what you do not want, you are asking for what cannot be given because it was never created. It was never created because it was never your will for you.
Wow.
Ultimately, everyone must remember the will of God because ultimately everyone must recognize himself. This recognition is the recognition that his will and God's are one. In the presence of truth, there are no unbelievers and no sacrifices. In the security of reality, fear is totally meaningless. To deny what is can only seem to be fearful. Fear cannot be real without a cause, and God is the only cause. God is love, and you do not want him.
Nope,
And
you
you
better
do.
okay.
Though God is love, and you do want him. This is your will. Ask for this, and you will be answered because you will be asking only for what belongs to you.
And so really I wanted to really emphasize paragraph 9, sentence 7. So I wanted to make sure it got read correctly. Uh is are you afraid of God? A
Not
little?
anymore.
Yeah, it's getting better, but yeah, it's kind of a whole spooky realm that we have don't think we have experience with. And if we're being honest, it's unknown. And we've been taught to fear the unknown, right? Remember when you were a little kid and you were afraid of the dark and you needed a night light and uh, being alone in certain situations and not knowing what was going to happen next? And weren't you a little anxious if you're being honest? We've been taught to
Yeah.
fear the unknown, and now we're being asked to love it. You can see how it might take some adjustment, right?
Mhm.
All right. So just think of what you're up against when you're out teaching this as teachers of God.
Mhm.
Don't be surprised if people don't just swallow it up, okay? All right. I think we're up to Ron for our next paragraph. See if we
Yes.
can finish this tonight. Maybe we can.
10.
Mhm.
When you ask the Holy Spirit for what would hurt you, he cannot answer because nothing can hurt you, and so you are asking for nothing. Any wish that stems from the ego is a wish for nothing, and to ask for it is not a request. It is merely a denial in the form of a request. The Holy Spirit is not concerned with form, being aware only of meaning. The ego cannot ask the Holy Spirit for anything because there is no complete communication.
Well,
Because
you
there
get it
is
in,
complete,
Ron. Please, would you read sentence 5 one more time?
yes. The ego cannot ask for the Holy Spirit for anything because there is complete communication failure between them.
Thank you.
Yet you can ask for everything of the Holy Spirit because your requests to Him are real because of your right mind. Would the Holy Spirit deny the will of God? And could He fail to recognize it in His Son?
Thanks, Ron. Let's go to Joan for 11, please.
11. You do not recognize the enormous waste of energy you expend in denying truth. What would you say of someone who persists in attempting the impossible, believing that to achieve it is to succeed? The belief that you must have the impossible in order to be happy is totally at variance with the principle of creation. God could not will that happiness depended on what you could never have. The fact that God is love does not require belief, but it does require acceptance. It is indeed possible for you to deny facts, although it is impossible for you to change them. If you hold your hands over your eyes, you will not see them because you are interfering with the laws of seeing. If you deny love, you will not know it because your cooperation is the law of its being. You cannot change laws you did not make. The laws of happiness were created for you, not by you.
Okay. So let's just close out tonight with just a few takeaways here from paragraph 11. Jesus asked a question in sentence 2. What would you say to someone who persists in attempting the impossible, believing that to achieve it is to succeed? What would you say about someone like that? We say nothing is impossible here, don't we? Is that
Yeah,
true?
we do. Yeah, we do say that.
Is that true? Nothing is
No.
impossible. And look, I'll show you. Sound like us?
Yeah.
Okay. We go out and jump off cliffs and skydive and just push it and ride the big waves. And these are examples of pushing the limits of possibility, right?
Right.
But what we're saying is when you break God's laws, it cannot be done. Uh, Everything is not possible, is what this book is saying. Uh, I could see why it's hard to believe, because that's our whole motto, isn't it? Nothing
Yes.
is impossible.
Just believe.
Yes. Do you see how it's at odds with this thought system?
Mhm.
That all reality functions within the realm of its creator. There is nothing outside creation that can be different than what creation is. Why is that so hard for you to accept, especially when it tells you how wonderful creation is? Why is that so hard to accept? Starts with an E, doesn't it?
Yes, it
Who
does.
has a personality would say, well, I still don't believe it, and I can make something better even than that. What's better than perfect? Yeah, okay, it's getting crazy, right? And you don't want to be among the crazies anymore, right?
No.
And yet, the crazies need correction, not punishment. The only thing standing between success and where they are now is the same thing. It's a change of mind, isn't it?
Yes.
I am not the victim of the world I see. I invent it. There is no will but God's, and God really is love. Why wouldn't you want to get with that? All right.
It's me.
We having a good time here on the relative scale. Didn't offend anyone tonight, did I?
No.
No.
Any final comments from any of you about our discussion or anything at all? All right. Well, I appreciate your time as usual. Again, don't forget to come out and join me tomorrow for ACIM music and meditation from 7 to 8. And with that, I'll turn it over to Hildegard to close us out, okay? Please.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. I am the light of God.
I am the
I
light.
am the light of God.
I am the love of God.
I am
I
the love.
am the love
Love
of God.
of God.
I am the power of God.
I am the
I am the
Power
power
of God.
of God.
I am the presence of God.
I am
I
the
am the
presence.
presence
of
of
God.
God.
Therefore,
Therefore,
wherever I am,
wherever
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 I
I
am,
am,
God is,
God
God
is,
is.
and all is well.
and
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 all
all
is
is well.
well.
There is nothing to
Namaste.
fear.
there is
There is
nothing.
nothing
to
to
fear.
fear.
There is only
There-
love.
There
is
is
only love.
love.
Namaste.
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 Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy, and I'll see you in 2 weeks, okay?
Yeah, have a good night.
Okay.
All right. Much love.
Thanks, Jim.
Have a safe trip.
Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Thank you, Jim.
Be safe.
Bye-bye.
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 Bye. Love you all.